Welcome to all our viewers, our people that are interested in the South African International Ballet Competition and the work that we are doing. Tonight is, for me, a super special night because we so often use the word legend so loosely, so easy. But tonight we truly have three incredible dance legends on the program. And so without any further ado, let's quickly introduce them to you. One of them keeps on coming and going. He keeps on dropping out, but hopefully when he has to speak, we will be able to have him with us. But let's start with Julio Bocca, world ballet star, Argentinian superstar, living in Uruguay, having done so much and never giving up. Hello, Julio. Welcome.
Hello. It's a pleasure for me to be here again with you. Also, it's an honor. Thank you so much for always thanking on me, even when I was member of the jury of the international competition in South Africa, and to have the chance to know so many good dancers there and teachers and give me this opportunity. So, well, I'm here now again. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And then a South African living legend, and she will talk more about all the things that she's part of. But so often we say, oh, we want to do something, and Adele has already done it. Not 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Let's go and work in the township. Oh, I've done that already. Let's choreograph something like this. Ah, I've done it already, etc., etc. So let's welcome Adele Blank. Welcome, and we share a birthday, by the way. Hi, Adele.
Yes, we do. Hi. Thank you very much for having me, Dirk. I've been around a long time, so maybe that's why I think I've done all these things. But you know, the blank space exists.
Absolutely, and the blank space is never really blank. So let's quickly watch a little video while we wait for Zakes to reconnect of what you are working on at the moment, Julio. It's a little thing. Then let's talk about that immediately after that. So tell us a little bit more about that, Julio.
Well, this is the third time we do this gala. We've been doing this with two other organizations, plus my foundation in Argentina. Before we will do it in the theater, but this year, because of the pandemic, we tried to do something that we never done before. So it's a gala, benefit gala for more than 2,200 children and family to help them to continue educate, arts, help, everything. Like one of the major foundation days in this also gala is, in Spanish, is El Patronato de la Infancia, and it's 129 years old. They help children and family to have the possibility to educate, health, and eat. So this gala that we do this Saturday, 7 p.m. Argentine time, will be only that time for the channel YouTube Live, and the channel will be Gran Gala por los Niños, and it will be free for everybody. And who want to donate, they can donate. Who want not to donate because they cannot, they don't want it, they can still see the show. And all this is because to help children. There will be different artists from around the world. Many Argentinian singers and musicians, some great performers like Marianela Núñez from the Royal, a couple from the English National Ballet, a couple from the Bolshoi, and some great artists, actors that send some, hello and everything. So it's going to be 2 hours, and it's the only time you can see. After that, disappear. And I have some surprise also. One very good singer, is very famous around the world, and he just gave me this little thing in that time for this special moment. So I'm very happy, and I would always try to help children and family and people who want to, to do art and educate, and for them to have a chance, and especially in this time in pandemic. So this is this gala that we're gonna see on Saturday at 7 p.m. And thank you so much for letting me to share this with everybody who's been seeing this.
Thank you very much. And please, will you send me the link to the actual gala so that we can also post it on the SAIBC website so that people can get it from there as well. I wanted to quickly, while I still have you, because you have to go and rehearse shortly, I want to ask a few questions. And the one thing is, we're going to watch a video of you when you were a very young dancer. So maybe we can watch that first, and then I can ask one or two questions before you leave.
Okay.
Bravo, bravo. So Julio,
wow.
How old were you when that happened?
Oh, well, no, I must be around when I was maybe 30, around that time. That was in the Bolshoi with Alessandra Ferri. That was Tchaikovsky part when we did it. Because I was one of the first one who received the Benoit de la Danse in 91 or 92. And I couldn't get to that gala because I was performing already. So I went a couple years later to be performed for this gala. And well, I mean, I was surprised.
I mean. So often we think that the technique of 10, 15, 20 years ago was nothing. Look at that. It looks amazing. Fantastic, pure ballet. So it's incredible to see that at that stage, and the passion. I watched you teach in China recently, and that passion that you saw so clearly on stage still emanates from you every time you teach, and that's what I find so amazing.
Well, I love ballet. I love always to dance. I always to love to be on the stage. So now I know that I was into one point of my life and my career that I wanted to stop, and on the top of my level, right? And so after that, I needed to give back all the things that I learned for great dancers, great teachers, and I really, when I begin to teach class or to coach professional dancer, for me was something new, different, but in the same way, it was a way to continue dancing and to help many different dancers. Like you say, people thinking now to do all these tricks is something new, but we did it that time, and I saw Nureyev doing so clean, perfect bujones, dance so pure and many pirouettes. So it was nothing. It's not nothing new now. The thing I wish, and they can continue there to work, it's the quality, the excellence. Not also for pirouette and champion, also the step in between. That is so important, like a big jump. And I try to feel that, and also to tell them, you need to have your own personality. Don't copy anybody. Have your own feeling, have your own personality. And I love to do that. I love to coach and teach, and I have the chance except this year, but year before, got to coach on the Bolshoi Ballet or the School of Paris Opera or in the English National or Australia. I mean, go around the world, how you said, in China. So I really enjoyed. And I think I feel like I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm very secure in what I say because I always have a great teacher called Wilhelm Bullman that he passed away at the beginning of the year because of the COVID. But he was one of the best teachers in the world, not only for me, for many great dancers around the world. And so what I do is transform and transmit what he gave me to continue that legacy, that we have to always take care in a different way because students now they are different and that's good. But we have to explain difference for them to understand and to incorporate to the body.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad, Zakes, you made it back just before the video. So let's quickly say hi to Zakes and Nkosi. So great to have you here. And then before you go, Julio, I want to quickly show the video of Print, of which Zakes was part, a super successful South African production, mixing different dance forms and dance styles. And then Zakes will talk a little bit about that and get back to Adele and get to those opinions. I just quickly want for Julio to see this also before he leaves us.
African Footprint, a dance troupe from South Africa, made a stop in Brown Theatre, Ark City, and delivered an explosive performance for the audience. We talked to Zakes and Nkosi, the dance director of the troupe, about what African Footprint has to offer.
Energy, history of South Africa, and music and dance.
Oh, so fine.
Accompanied by percussion, African Footprint combined contemporary dance with elements of ballet, jazz, and tap dance. The result is something exotic yet elegant and powerful. Zakes also told us about the history of the African Footprint.
African Footprint as a show, the concept started in 1999 by Richard Loring. They all together, with some musicians, the late Dave Polycat, they started the concept, the African Footprint. It took like 18 months to make the entire show. It has been not very easy, but it started that way with 30 dancers. We have like very few who are original members right now, so it has grown.
He also highlighted the message the troupe tries to convey through their dances.
In a show, you'd see, a combination of black and white people, not as a dress up, but as a symbol that we have come from, a state where all that was separated, but now we should work as one, since we're all living South Africans living in the country, black and white.
Reporting for Winfield Courier, this is Vincent Futera.
Amazing. Fantastic. Bravo. So that really is, I think, a wonderful way of starting this story of legends also in South Africa. So going from Argentina to New York to American Ballet Theater, now back in Uruguay, and whoop, into Africa and into South Africa. And in Cape Town, it's really nice to have with us Adele and Zakes as well. So before I continue and before I start asking questions, Julio, again, thank you very much for being with us. It's really been such an honor. It's incredible to have somebody like Julio Bocca with us and to be able to talk to you. Thank God for COVID-19, because it makes it possible for many more people to hear you, see you, and to get an understanding. So Your event is on the 24th of October, this coming Saturday, 7 o'clock Argentinian time, which I think you are 5 hours behind us. So it makes it 1 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. I think if I do my sums quickly, but definitely worth watching. And please go and look at the SIBC Facebook page and the SIBC website, sibc.com, to get the link so that you can also log on and watch this incredible event. And I think it's so important that we all understand what we spoke of in the video insert, is that we are all in this together, white and black, but it goes further than that now. It goes the world. We are part of a dance community. Next week, Thursday, we are celebrating the 29th of October, World Ballet Day. And it just brings us all together. It gives this platform where we can all talk. So please, ladies and gentlemen, go and watch it, and support wherever you can, but also support in South Africa. There are some incredible projects happening in South Africa as well. Please support our artists. Don't ask for freebies. Really, really, really make it worthwhile for the people that keep us sane in these hard times. People that are giving their hearts and their souls to make a difference. And this is exactly what's happening with your gala. You have these incredible stars, from singers and musicians and dancers that you've mentioned, Julio, that is really, really making a difference in the lives of other people. And we can do the same. There's a wonderful project waiting in the wings that is run in South Africa, where also shows are done to raise money for the artists and then for people that are destitute and in desperate need of support. So thank you again, Julio. Much appreciated having you with us.
No, thank you so much for this. Also, I want to say, you're talking about union and everything, to be together. And also in this will be the first time, at least in Argentina, I include sign language, okay, for all the translation. Also, a very, very young singer who's blind, a very nice young lady who have Down syndrome, who's dancing. So this inclusion, for everybody, we are the same. We have to be together. So in the gala, you will also see this. And I have to say, the piece that we saw before, I wish I can move like that. I was preparing to be a classical dancer and not so much other style.
You do beautiful tango. You do beautiful tango. Well, I remember your show. Incredible.
But that was because later on I practiced more. But like a contemporary dancer, I was not feeling that I was good. I mean, I was good, but there was no something, because contemporary dance before was complementary. Was not, you have to be a classical or a contemporary. And now I feel like the dancer have that chance they have to be good in both. And I think it's amazing that all the big companies, they have to be prepared to do both. And so thank you so much. Continue a very nice talking. And I hope someday we can bring some choreographers to South America, to the national company here in Uruguay, to create something for the company. We can work on that. Okay.
We're definitely going to make it happen. Yes.
Yes.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. An honor. And together we can do it.
Exactly. Bye. Lots of love. Ciao. Let's move to Zakes. So Zakes, while we have you, let's quickly go your history, your story that brought you, and I ask this every week of all our guests, because this is for me the purpose of these conversations now, is that there are so many people that have contributed to our beautiful dance culture in South Africa. And we don't always know you, we don't always honor you, and we want to know more about you. So please tell us more about Zakes Nkosi.
Well, my name is Zakes Nkosi. Sorry about that. I grew up in Soweto. I was born and bred in Soweto. Now, Soweto is a township around Johannesburg. Dance to me was something that I actually came into accidentally. So it so happened that I lost a pair of my Chuck Taylors. These are your all-star shoes. So every young man had to have those. You know, it was the style, it was fashionable. So I lost out a pair. In fact, it was stolen on the washing line, and I needed to replace them. So I did some odd jobs for a family friend and put away money just to buy another pair. So it so happened that at that time, I was not allowed to venture into the big city by my parents. So I needed to actually bring a friend to accompany me to town to buy these pair of shoes. So I found a friend who would actually take me to the shop. I had to bring them into my parents, and they obliged. So Saturday morning, he takes me down there. He says to me, before we actually get there, let's just go past this place. I just need to participate in some auditions. And then afterwards, we'll go buy your Chuck Taylors. Well, then we went. I didn't even know at that time what auditions were. This was 1994. So we go. And then once we get there, somebody else actually comes in looking for an extra dancer. He was a Pantsula dancer, this friend of mine. So somebody came in and actually pushed him out of the auditions before they actually even started. So he left, leaving me there. He said, stay put here, I'm coming back for you. So now, when auditions were about to start, I was still downstairs by myself. Everybody else was in the hall.
It seems we've lost Zakes for a moment, so we'll wait for him to come back. In the meantime, I have posted the link for the Grand Gala, which is www.grandgalaporlosniños.org. And Zakes is back.
Yeah.
So, hi, Zakes. Welcome back.
Yes. So I was brought into the hall, and then audition started. And I had nothing to actually change into. This lady came downstairs to me and say, why are you not participating? I said, no, I'm waiting for a friend. She says, no, but if you wait for your friend, it will be almost 2 hours before he actually is done with the audition, because she thought he was actually part of the group. I said, no ways, I could not actually wait for somebody 2 hours. She says to me, you know what? Let me give you my pair of tracksuits, try it out and see if you like it. If you don't, you can always walk away from it. But just before we started with auditions, there were delegates from France, I think Australia as well, who came to visit the dance company, which was actually rehearsing downstairs. This was moving into dance then. We're actually trained. So the director then decided that, no, let me bring these people, the dance company in this case, onto the audition room so that everybody else can see what they're up to. So as they were busy preparing to do this presentation, I was just captured by mirrors all around the wall. And I did not understand what these mirrors were for. It was a dance studio. Then we asked to actually sit around and just watch these people. And it was the first time seeing Black people like me doing, what I thought was ballet or contemporary. And from just seeing them perform, they were doing one of Vincent Mansu's piece. I think it was Speaking with Tongues. But immediately afterwards, that actually changed my mind. I knew right there and then that this is what I wanted to do. So it started that way. I was already, 23rd, I think, when I started, that late.
Wow.
But I've always been athletic as a person, so it was quite easy for me to jump in and learn, the drills, even at that age. But these are the opportunities, that were lacking in the township at that time. We could not actually see these things happening in town. They are all in the big cities. So most of young men like myself and even ladies, were not actually exposed to this until you venture into big cities. So that's how it all started.
That's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So let's move to Adele. Adele, let's talk. I want to first start with you creating with David Gouldy and Andrew Buerta the South African Nutcracker. So I was tired of sitting in the theater in the heat of summer trying to convince the South African audience that it's actually snowing outside and that we're going through a land of snow into the land of sweets. And so I always say that, so the concept of a South African and a summer nutcracker was kind of my idea. But then the actual ballet that was in the end created was then the brainchild of you and David and Andrew, and it became for me one of the most beautiful ways of celebrating South Africa, pure classical ballet, and all the things in between. Wonderful storytelling, and it became very, very, very popular in South Africa. So that was one of the first things that I've actually really, really worked with you, where you helped create something in 2008 for, it was then Mzansi Productions. So let's talk about you and your history, because again, I love the fact that Zakes mentioned Soweto and then explained where Soweto was, because so often we think that people know who we are, what we are, where we are, etc., except that they don't. People are probably a little bit lazy. People are definitely uninformed. There are so many things happening. We are bombarded with information all the time. So please go back and take us on the Adele Blank Fisher journey.
Sure.
Long journey.
It's been a long journey. Hopefully it'll be longer. I think that my journey started when I was a little girl learning dancing because mommy took me, and never showing much skill until I was about 14. Very much in the classical genre. I loved it. It became my passion. Was with Joburg City Ballet, and then it became packed. I then got married very young. And only after that, I was teaching Chuketi and Sheila Wartsky, who was one of my mentors, who actually choreographed Ipin Tombi.
Oh, wow.
The original. I became dance captain, not knowing anything about it, but my goodness, did I learn. And I still use exercises that those guys used to do. And I said, what are you doing? What are you stretching? So she said, come and see a movie. And what was the movie? Alvin Ailey's Revelations.
Oh, wow.
On a total trip that I didn't know where to put myself. So she started training me in Graham technique, and then I traveled. Then I went to New York, and I went to London, I went to Israel, and I'd go for 2 weeks, come back, whatever I'd learned, it was a melting pot. And that's how it started for me. It became a passion. I did many things, and I heard Julio talking about he's doing something for deaf people. And today, I say dance is synergized. There's synergy. There's a synergy happening all over the world with dancers. Today, I had a discussion with my daughter about a performance that's going to take place with an art exhibition for deaf artists.
Oh, wow.
And we do a narrative where, please God, we'll have the spoken word, and we will have a person doing the language, sign language, and we will just be doing like I've done before in the art galleries, but with all these people's work, and maybe create a story around this. So that's just to show the synergy of dance. I've done many things. And when you talk about Soweto, first of all, in 1979, I took a group of dancers to Israel. We were invited. Leslie Mongezi was with us, and we called the company 8+1 because there was Leslie, a black dancer, and 8 white young ladies. And we did a piece called Cacophony, which toured kibbutz, all the kibbutzim, and we performed. And Leslie Mongezi was, I think, one of the first, or if not the first, black dancer to go abroad, and that the company he was the only one mixing with the white abroad. Anyway, it was very successful. And then I did many things. I remember a young dancer, Tule Malchas, who came to me with Eddie Tengani, also went to live in London, on rollerblades, little headset, and I taught him, and he became one of the best dancers in South Africa. When Tule was on the stage, the audience used to go crazy. You would hear this Tule, Tule. Anyway, he became very successful and became a percussionist. I remember doing something, it was a gospel piece, and I wanted a gospel choir. And Amos Kitlele, Lollycat, is also somebody that's been around and now performing and doing all sorts of things, sent me to a place in Soweto one June night. I drove there in the middle, and it was freezing cold, middle of June. I didn't know where I was. There was no electricity in the place, but I found my way. And what guided me? I saw a glow coming from a building, and I heard these voices, and it was this choir. I went in. They were singing by candlelight, and I was gobsmacked and so emotional with the whole thing. Anyway, they then became part of a show I did at the Space Frame Theatre in a gospel piece, and I replicated the feeling that I got in terms of they came on in shadows with candles. The dancers had candles, little tea light candles in their hands, and there were just these shadows, and there were 23 of them mixed with my dancers, free flight dancers, of which Gavin Louis was one. So there are many of those names that were stalwarts in the ballet that became part of this whole thing. And it was a beautiful piece. And those guys I kept in touch with for years, and all they wanted was to perform again. So that was one of the things you were talking about, Soweto. I've trained many of those guys, and I listened very nicely to our friend Julio and you saying that technique. We looked at him, and I mean, it was magnificent. And we did have that, but I think there's much more in terms of dance happening now. And I do believe that the guys in those times knew, and they so perfected and were so dedicated and disciplined. I don't think they had as many things to choose from. I mean, it was superb. I think that a lot of stuff today, he said about copying, the kids do that. And especially the ones that don't have access. Now, well, of course, with COVID and all the stuff on the net, they can copy even more so. However, be who you are. That's exactly what he said. Don't try and be somebody else, because you can't. You are you. I don't know what else you want me to say, Dirk.
No, so what I would like to hear now, so that's an incredible thing. And as I said before, so often you think, oh, we're coming up with a new idea, and then actually Adele has done it already. It's been done by somebody else. But what I would like to kind of hear now is how you and Zakes have gotten to know one another and work together. Yes, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, we were working on we were on a committee of a relief funding thing for dancers and artists. And I knew the name, and I heard this brilliant, gorgeous voice, and I thought, who is this man? There are two Zakes and Nkosis. One is a musician and one is our Zakes. Anyway, and then it all started unfolding. that I actually taught him at the Braamfontein Rec in Johannesburg when he was with moving into dance.
Oh, wow.
So it came up when we hadn't seen each other for years. And subsequently, we've had such beautiful conversations about dance and about things that happen. And he said a very interesting thing the other day, which I'm going to repeat. We were talking about COVID and how now everything's on the computer and virtual and Zoom and all this stuff. And the shows that we're seeing, thank God we're seeing something, but it's becoming almost as if it's microwave, because you can't help, you don't have the adrenaline push, you have open spaces, but we're thinking maybe it's all going to be like popcorn, like it's the same. So the two of us discussed how we miss the actual physicality and the energy and the adrenaline that you get, and the audience also, it gives that, it's just a different energy. We'll have to get used to it, I think, for a long while, but I think I love that about him. But he's a human being and very humble. I must tell you, I'm very humbled by him and by the young man that had to leave us to go and do his rehearsal. And Dirk, by you, because you just kept dance in South Africa and all over for me so alive. And not ballet is your passion, but you've incorporated everything. I mean, that nutcracker we did was a typical example where we had not Cossacks, we had gumbooters. I don't know if you remember that.
Exactly, absolutely, with white gumboots with red soles.
And we even
you made them do double tours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did the pole dancing instead of the dance.
Exactly. And then we did Bengingazi with the Pansula dancers. So yes, but Zakes, let's go back to you. So we heard the side from Adele's side. Your experience of then working with Adele and being trained by Adele, how much of that do you remember? You have to unmute yourself, please, Zakes. We can't hear you. Zakes, and we've lost him. So he will come back in a moment. So what I find amazing is indeed, with the sports teams, I was listening to the rugby team the other day, full of injuries. And I think that's one of the problems. Sorry, Zakes. It's one of the problems that we have, and we have to be very careful with dance now as well, is that we've had this very, very, very long time of no proper classes, no proper strengthening, and suddenly people are coming back, that we don't push too hard and cause more injuries. So I just want to put that out there, Park. So Zakes, now you can answer my question about your experience from the other side. So Adele spoke from this way. What was your take on the whole thing?
My apologies with my network. I don't know what is actually happening. Keeps on kicking me out. I got a gist of it. Well, when it comes to injuries, I mean, I was raised by the townships, and like I tell you right now, there's a young lady in Kukuletu. She has started a Kukuletu Arts Project, leadership project, and she uses a sports center. The sports center is among other, community members, who are either there to.
Boy, it's so hard. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I see a message from Brian Van Rieder saying there was never a better Romeo than Julio and a Juliet with Ferry. I wept again. And he said it comes from Brian, and he says just great memories and greetings from Cape Town, Julio. Yeah, I think it's really important. Welcome back, Zakes. Let's try again.
Sorry about it. Yeah. So this young lady, her name is Oletu Katasa, in the sports center with a concrete floor. What she does there with the young ones, she's teaching the young ones, because the township's actually riddled with crime, gangsterism, and all of that. A lot of school drop out as well. So it's not a proper dance floor. So they are prone to actually have injuries. They're doing their best with what they actually have. You have a theater in Kaelicha, which was started by a guy called Mandiso Tiso. As they were rehearsing with kids one time, this was like last week, a group of gang went in and dropped them off at gunpoint. So there's a whole lot of challenges that we face in the townships. We would like to be in proper studios and things like that. The politics at the moment in the country, the economics of the industry, it's not actually supporting or resuscitating the industry that well, especially in the underdeveloped communities. You find kids with nothing to do. Right now, kids are actually getting lost every single day because there is no activities, and the legal activity that there is, it is
It's a big problem indeed. And while we wait for Zakes to come back, because I'm sure he will come back shortly, just yesterday we got an email saying that the call for emergency funding from the Department of Arts and Culture from the Mzansi Golden Economy was withdrawn, and so people have to reapply, forgetting that it costs a lot of money. And these are from companies that have a little bit of a budget. Imagine you have no money. You went and you made your photocopies. You did all of the right things. You got your board members to sign their documents. You've entered it. And then the Department of Arts and Culture goes, oh, sorry, we are just withdrawing this call and we'll do another call in the beginning of next year. What happened to the money that there was? I don't understand that at all. And I also never understand how it's supposed to work, whereby local government should be looking at the community centers, and provincial government needs to do something, and your national government needs to do something, and it just all seems to be going somewhere that is not going where it's supposed to be going. And for me, that is just heartbreaking. And I keep on, every week you would have heard me speak about the fact that I'm saying we can't say this is the amount of money. We have to make the money more. We have to get more money to spend more money. We can't say there's 100 million and keep on spreading. No, let's ask for 400 million. Let's make it work like that, because otherwise we are not building a unified community. We are not building what Julio was talking about, what Adele was talking about, what you are talking about. An integrated South Africa where we respect our artists and our art form. And that can only be done if people feel proud about themselves and they have money on the table to pay for the things that they need to pay for. It is not a begging industry. It is an industry where people have to start respecting us. I'm so tired of seeing applications that talk about how you're going to become self-sustainable. The arts are not a self-sustainable art form. They are not. You cannot expect it to be, because we are not encouraging the people to respect it. And so, yeah, let's see, Zakes, if you're back, and he's back. Let's go, Zakes.
I think it's the support, and having these places, these buildings. It is well appreciated, but more needs to be done. Support is needed. You find groups or people or artists who don't even know how to access funding, how to write a proposal, and where do you go to, where do you start? So even the documents that are there, in all of the funding bodies, they speak a very eloquent language, which is not actually understood. So often people who actually have the know-how, and the vocabulary, it is much easier for them, and they get, access to all of these financial resources. Other people actually don't. So we are still actually polarized racially, politically, and as also economically, because of such small things. What the government actually needs to do within the Department of Arts and Culture is to do extensive workshops and all communities where they make sure that they employ artists to actually teach these young ones. Because what's the whole point having this knowledge and then we die with it?
Exactly.
And
it's
when they
such an
come after,
important role where it needs to be carried from one generation to the next through teaching it. Use the African dance specialist, the Pansula specialist, the Afrofusion specialist to go and teach it in your academic schools. Don't get the teacher that's not interested in it at all to teach it. It's like saying teach maths by the Afrikaans teacher. What does the Afrikaans teacher know about maths? What does the Afrikaans teacher know about Pansula? Absolutely, I agree 100% with you. Sorry for interrupting, Zakes.
So at UCT, I got a chance to actually lecture there through.
Let's wait one moment to see, because every time I speak, then I'm halfway when he gets back, and then I lose him. So, okay. Welcome back.
My apologies. Yeah.
Talk.
Yes. So through Maxwell Run, we actually teach African dance fusion, where we actually fuse it with other dance techniques, whether it be nationally or internationally. These spaces where we actually do this are welcoming to that change. It's not always that way. We acknowledge that it is actually happening. We would wish that is actually done in a greater scale of schemes. I was talking to Miss Adele the other time that you still see Nutcracker, West Side Stories, and all these classicals overseas, which actually take all of this talent, over and over and over the years it is being done. Now we are training all of these dances, all of these artists, these musicians, but there's no productions in the country because everyone else is being trained to become a teacher, which is good, is great, but we cannot all be teachers. We need to produce work so that all of these talent, have got a place to go to. Productions, even in short productions, international productions, there isn't enough of that happening. Why? Because, well, economics, politics, funding bodies, frustrations and red tapes. That is just the challenge that, people who are actually greatly talented, even if they have these ideas, they can't actually do them to their fulfillment, because then somebody would say, I like this, but can you do it for this much? And how much of it is going to my pocket if I actually gave you that support? So we have these challenges.
Adele wants to say something?
Yes. Dirk, I think a very important thing, and I've been trying to do it because Free Flight was never really funded. I think we were funded twice. Dancers just wanted to work and be there, and they didn't talk, they danced. But I do believe that, and we've done it many times, you've got to find theatres are going to be not full for a long time. So I think we've got to find other spaces. Do things in art galleries, small crowds. I did this one where we took the audience on a journey through the National Gallery. Few people followed, but it was great. Go and find things. You've got to find different ways of doing. The dancers love it because it's something different. And I think audience find it very interesting and very entertaining as well. So we have to find different ways so that we don't lose the performance thing to screens all the time. We need live performances. We need to go and take it, do it on the beat. We need to go, which we've done many times, go into the communities, go and do it. I've worked where we've done it in Mfuleni, on the netball field, and you do it. And it's great. But I used to do this even in Germany.
But you know what?
Yeah.
To
I
preserve
often say that the big theaters in many ways kill theater in places, because the artists became so precious, and I'm saying that respectfully. I'm not just flinging it out there, that they didn't want to go anymore to the beach or the netball field or the shopping center because they said, no, I'm going to get injured. And so we have lost the interaction with our audiences. So if we think of the Cuban National Ballet, they used to go to the farms, to the factories, to the military, to go and perform there. And that's how they built the audience, because there's no point in having a performance, but you are not developing your future audiences. So when we are training youngsters, we are training dancers, we are training choreographers, we are training teachers, we are training the next president of South Africa, but we are most importantly also training an educated and an interested audience. We need to get people in the theater, whether the theater is a traditional theater, Artscape or Monte Cassino, or whether theater is at a shopping center, sitting at the restaurant, eating, and the performance happens there. There are many permutations of theater. And I think that we need to go back to the old roots, where there wasn't the typical theater with the cross arch. Theater was where the campfire was. The storytelling happened wherever it was. Theater was going to the field to prepare the food, where the ladies were singing or the men were singing and people were cleaning and making food. That was theater, and it involved the broader society. It spoke to the broader society. It doesn't mean there shouldn't be a Swan Lake in Artscape. It means that there needs to be much more at many more given times. So, Zakes, your comment on that.
So there's a guy called George. He's doing what they call backyard theater, where after a frustration of trying to access theaters, he started actually doing his shows where he actually at the backyard where he actually lives, in the townships where he actually lives. And that actually became something, you know. So convention.
But that happens. So I last week I spoke to young girls from the Spanish dance society that work with the Montoyas and everything, and we were saying, what can we do? And they were talking about how they could use TikTok and things like that to start going into a younger market. So you're back, Zakes. Talk about the backyard theater.
Yeah. We have the luxury of technology right now, where we can actually use that to our own advantage, where we can actually shoot from the dusty street, from our own backyards, actually shoot some of our productions and actually display them here on social media. Perhaps maybe that is how we can actually even sell our ideas. We did a show at the zero budget with a couple of artists. They had an idea. They wanted me to actually help them up with choreography and direction, but they had no money. I too needed money, but the only thing that we had between the three of us, in fact the four of us, was time. So we dedicated our time towards a production, and we performed for 3 days in a fully packed theater. So at times it's doing those, but you need the right people with the right mindset to actually do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's why somebody like Adele has been an inspiration for so many times. She could have also said, well, I don't have funding, I'm not going to have performances. No, she created Free Flight and had performances with or without funding. With the ballet companies and competitions that I've always started in the past, I've always said, once I get to about a third of the budget, we're going, because people find it really hard to understand your concept of what it is that you're achieving. But once you have the actual performance, or they go, oh yeah, I like it. Now I will maybe give you a little bit more funding, or I will support you or not. But you need to get to that point where you start saying, okay, but also let's spread the risk of the actual performance evenly and equally amongst everybody. So, okay, I will try and get the first money, because we all know that if there's not even the first 14 or 15 rand to get you in the taxi, to get you to the rehearsal ain't going to happen. So you need to have the first basic, not a salary, a basic food and transport to get you to the rehearsal. Once you've got that, then it becomes the group's responsibility to help sell tickets.
Yes.
Because the more tickets you sell, the more your salary will be. So you sign an agreement with your dancers that says each one of you get 5% of the show. So we take off all the expenses, and now this is the loot. Let's spread it evenly amongst us. Here's the choreographer, here's the dancer, here's the director. Everybody gets the same thing. And that means everybody has something to work for. And I think this is where we need to go to. It shouldn't be like that. We should be in a world where people are lucky to have theaters with massive budgets and things. We're not there. And we can say, oh, we're sorry, we poor us, blah, blah. Or we can say, let's make it happen. We have this thing, we have this story in ourselves, we have this passion, and we want to make it happen. So that's really what I think we need to do more of. And that's what we need to fight for. We can't give up. My son knows my little slogan is never give up. Never, never. Shitty things happen to us, and we never give up. And that's really what I want us to look at. We're coming to the end of our session today. So, Zakes, while we have you, your final parting words to a young Zakes and an audience watching.
I think the entire art world needs to stop working in silos. You know, team up with people. At the moment, it's separated. You've got the musicians there, dancers there, actors there. If we could all come up together and come up with ideas, you know, that is how we could actually create work, start work. At the moment, everybody is starting an NPO where you actually seek for funding. We're not actually starting thinking business. How can we actually make this in a business where, you know, we are looking for money, where we actually generate money instead of asking for more writing proposal. Yes, it is okay to actually have that support, but we need to actually change, you know, the modus of operandi of how we actually can, you know, make sure that those theaters are actually filled up.
Thank you so much. Adele, your last words.
Well, my motto has always been, we don't talk, we dance. We dance, and now we've got to generate spaces and work for each other.
That's exactly great, because that's what we need to do. We can't wait. We can't talk. Let's just absolutely get up, point the toes, put on the tutu, put on the skirt, and get dancing. Put your pansula takis on, get dancing, make theater, and take the theater back to the people, because otherwise we will wait and wait. Our Minister of Arts and Culture is really not interested in ballet or dance that much. And whether we like it or not, it makes no difference. It really makes no difference. We have to make the difference. And I think that's what we have to work towards. And that's what we have to keep on supporting each other as well. And I think that's important. You know, we are so afraid that if there's another dance company, they're going to take our funding, they're going to take our audience. And we actually forget that the more there is, the more people want. If you've tasted something really nice, you're not just going to have one little bite, a spoonful of your milk tart. You're going to go back and eat the whole milk tart or lemon meringue pie. And that's what the theater needs to be. It needs to be a great, happy experience that people come back and back. And today it's Zakes' show, tomorrow is Adele show, the next day is Dirk's show, and so it goes on and on and on. We have 59 million people in South Africa. We have beautiful, beautiful cities with amazing theaters. Let's fill them. Let's create shows for all of those theaters, and let's get the word out so that when you know Zakes' show is happening, don't shut up about it. No, Tell as many people about the fact that his show is happening. And the same with the other one and the other one and the other one. That's why we've created the app that you will start hearing about in the next 2 or 3 weeks more and more about, because that is exactly so that we can all start pooling the resources, pooling the audiences, so that we speak to a much, much, much broader audience. Let's partner with private business. Let's partner with the civil society. And most importantly, let's love and support the other artists. So thank you very much, Adele. Thank you very much, Zakes, for being here. I want us to play out with Julio's solo again. It was so fantastic. Let's watch that and support one another. Next week is, as I said, World Ballet Day. We are going to be looking at some of this year's International Ballet Competition winners and do some little things with them. And let's take it from there. Take care, everybody, and lots of love to you all.